So you have worked with a lot of international students coming to the US for college, and what observations would you have about how they have approached the application process here and made their lists of colleges to apply to and so forth?
Uh, there are some definite patterns. So it makes perfect sense that international students tend to focus on so-called big name universities. Those are the ones that they've heard of, and they also reasonably assume that a credential from a place that they've heard of and that their communities have heard of will serve them better if they come back to their home countries to work. But there are literally thousands of institutions in the United States, and it is often disappointing and frustrating to me that their focus is so narrow. It also means that a relative handful of American universities receive a huge bulk of the applications from international students, and that of course makes admission to those places for exactly those students extraordinarily competitive, and they get frustrated by that, but they don't have to be, in a sense. They just need to spread themselves out.
So, what advice would you give those students on how to spread themselves out?
Yes, so my advice is generally that if you're an international student, you're determined to apply to a couple of the Ivies and to a couple of the big state universities that you've heard of, the University of Michigan or at Berkeley, at University of California, Berkeley, that's great. And you should also apply to some other great institutions that you haven't necessarily heard of and that people back home haven't necessarily heard of, but that are going to provide you with the same and sometimes even better training and preparation. So going back to that original breakdown that I talked about, liberal arts colleges, small to medium-sized universities, and large state and private universities, international students cluster to a great extent in the large public and private university group when they apply. They, in my opinion, should look very carefully at some of these small and medium-sized universities, and in the best case, they should look at some of the wonderful liberal arts colleges. The liberal arts colleges have the hardest time drawing international student applicants because international students haven't heard about them. They don't really know what a college is, and so they tend to shy away from applying to these institutions. But that's the reason why these institutions would be and are so receptive to applications from them.